Hey guys, it's Paul Salazar with the Paul Salazar Group at Hilton Hyland Real Estate. We're here inside of our newest listing, 216 Westminster in Windward Circle, Venice Beach. I have these three awesome gentlemen that have lived in this area for a long time. Some still live here, some don't. I love stories. And, Salvador, who's in the middle. Actually, this is Lauren. We got Salvador and we have Gene. So Salvador helped me get this house ready for the market, and he kind of told me a little bit about his time here in this area, which I got excited about because I live in the area and I love to know stories about what it was like back in the day, especially Venice that has gone through a rebirth. Some people like it, some people don't, but it has gone through a rebirth, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess let's start with Lauren, and we'll have a free-flowing conversation about your stories. Yeah. And if you guys can speak clearly, so that we can the mics can pick it up. So Lauren, why don't you talk about? Well, you and Gene went to junior high together, correct?
Correct.
When were you guys living here in Venice?
After Santa Barbara, and after I was in France, so you and I came here from Berkeley.
230 San Juan, I think.
Yeah, no. Before 230, we had the little house.
220.
220 San Juan. He and I lived kind of across the street.
Okay, cool. What years?
73, 72?
73, yeah.
72. Because you were in Berkeley, you were in Santa Barbara,
right,
and I was in Paris.
Oh, wow.
Then I came back to Berkeley and going back to Berkeley and Santa Barbara. Then somehow or another, you asked that question as well. Why did we move to Venice? Why did we choose Venice?
Yeah.
Because we grew up in LA.
Let's start with that. Yeah.
And I mean, I guess because I was doing music and writing and poetry, and you were kind of doing all those kind of things, and you were doing graphic art. And why didn't we go somewhere else in LA? And we grew up in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because I lived in Silver Lake for a while.
But that was before. No.
Oh yeah, no, it was.
It was way before. Because you were coming from Berkeley.
Right.
And then Salvador was coming from Santa Barbara.
I was in Santa Barbara and then Montecito.
And so you and I were the first people here. And then I think Rick or Sal came after that. I don't remember. Weren't we the first to move here? And it's at a little house right across the street. Yeah. And then we moved to 230, and then we bought 230.
Right, you and I bought it.
Yeah.
But before that, I lived at Rick Elfman's house.
At his parents?
Just came here, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, we know people love this area now for what it is, right? I mean, I moved to LA in 2009. In the West Side since 2012, right? So that's what I know of this area. I used to come here as a child, and we used to walk, down.
Sure.
Really, as a child? Really?
Yeah.
From where were you living?
Pasadena.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, the peak of that Muscle Beach.
Yeah, exactly.
POP.
But I don't recall like Abercrombie.
No.
I don't recall, like what this area was like.
It wasn't called Abercrombie.
It was West Washington.
It was called West Washington.
It was called West Washington.
Yeah. Washington Boulevard, which goes all the way to the beach.
Right.
Then the veer over here.
I think that changed in 89, 88 or 89.
Something like that. It was kind of a historical movement to sort of restore certain things.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
But I think the reason why we came here, and I don't exactly remember, but the mythology of Venice, kind of what you're talking about. The mythology of Venice was arty, it was bohemian, and I think that was our vibe.
You had to surf.
Yeah, we surfed, but it wasn't, you don't come to Venice to surf. You go to Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Malibu. Venice.
Yeah, but it was right down the street.
But it was
so
a beach.
Yeah.
And we were talking today, we went to the beach.
Well, you know something, it's interesting, because I remember at the time, the very early, and I got to say the Oingo Boingo, met Tom Sewell.
Yeah. So
Tom Sewell was a Venice like perennial from way back. I mean, pretty.
He's the artist, right?
He's an entrepreneur. He owns a lot of real estate around here.
Real estate developer too.
Okay.
Before he became an artist.
He offered us a studio on Abercrombie.
Okay, but Webster Perlman, are you familiar with them?
No.
Because they own really much of
The buildings now at
the
the
corner,
corner.
but they own the buildings on almost Wynwood Circle.
let's talk about the building on the corner, because according to Salvador, that was a recording studio or like a music studio.
No, what ended up being was that there was an artist who was a friend of mine named Boyd Elder who did the album covers for the Eagles eventually.
Okay.
He was friends with the Eagles. They were doing an art opening for him. The Eagles came and played there.
Wow.
And the story is that they only played one song the whole night, but there's a great video of everybody dancing in the building there.
Wow.
It's on BBC. It's a wonderful story. And then they came and rehearsed there in Boyd's space, and them and Boyd became very good friends, and he got the album covers. That was like 1972, right at the end of 1972.
And then in the 70s as well, a bunch of artists lived there. So it was Ron Cooper, it was
Guy Webster.
Yeah.
Guy Webster on the other side,
Great
who did the photos.
This is in the brick building facing Main Street.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Guy
Archers
Webster,
in Westminster.
he did the album cover for the Rolling Stone and a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
And then Ron Cooper, who then went on to make that Tequila.
Yeah.
And Guy Dill lives here.
Yeah.
Guy Dillon.
And now Guy is like a major sculptor. He has a giant studio right on the other side of Main Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 And then later, Luna Garcia, which is...
I left by then, yeah.
Yeah.
When I started kicking.
Yeah, great people.
Yeah.
Curtis and Cindy Ripley, wonderful people. They had a studio there, which I helped them build. This is like back in the late 80s, early 90s. They were there for 30 years.
Again, trying to remember,
Beautiful
I think it's
pottery.
a good question initially why we came here. But I played at those clubs
Yeah.
every Sunday on Washington and then at Tom's Building
What do you mean you played?
in a band.
Oh, you played in the band?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
also solo.
Okay.
Yeah, I
cool.
played, yeah.
Yeah.
So the vibe here, like right now, when people think of Venice Beach, they think of Abbot Kinney, right? For sure.
But is it Tech Pro? Do you think of Tech Pros here?
Well, yeah. There's obviously the tech boom in the early 2000s is the rebirth of what is now Venice Beach,
Right,
right?
Snapchat came in.
That was.
And they have the building across the street, by the way.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
started the whole thing.
And then
Right here.
Google.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That started the whole movement
The whole
into
movement.
Venice
At
as
that time,
Venice.
they started calling it
Silicon Beach.
Beach.
Silicon Beach, correct, which is basically like Santa Monica all the way down to like El Segundo, right? Because there's a lot of tech companies in El Segundo. But back then, who lived in Venice? Like we have the artists,
Well, Dennis Hopper lived there. He was one of the guys.
Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, that was
In the ghetto, yeah.
And he lived in what we call the ghetto. Then on the other side of Electric, on the other side of Abbot Kinney,
Yeah.
that was more kind of run down. And there were projects over
So,
there.
so like Millwood, Oakwood.
Correct. That was run down and dangerous to live.
Really?
And Dennis Hopper was the first celebrity to move in that section.
Okay.
And then
And Laddie.
Yeah,
did.
yeah, that he moved on Electric, but he fortified his place. I understood, was barbed wire, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think Julia Roberts lived around here for a while. There's all
Julia Roberts, I know she owned in the canals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this house was, I don't know if it was, if the canal was still here. It was built in 1912.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And one part of the house is on Westminster, the other part is on San Juan.
Right.
On the San Juan side, this used to be Venus canals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Salvador was telling me that the gondolas were cleaned next door.
They came down and they went into not this building right here where they bring the trucks, but the next one down is where the gondolas went in, where they'd scrub the bottom of them.
Wow.
And I think when you bought your house, if I remember right, wasn't there still a little switching station right on the corner of Riviera and San Juan where they
It
would...
was a gas station.
Well, the gas station, I remember the gas, that was a beautiful gas station. That was right across where Snapchat building
Yeah.
was.
Okay, yeah.
Gorgeous gas station.
right.
No, it looked like something from New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's
Tile, beautiful tile and
Of
stuff.
course, and then the big architectural boom occurred here.
Okay, so tell me about
Late
that.
70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Late
my
70s,
house.
there was a boom.
Yeah.
Architectural boom. So
Huge.
you had, what types of like properties were built?
Well, I did the first one.
Okay.
It's called the Cabin House online, but
Okay.
we call it the Pink House. And Fred Fisher, who's a friend.
Fred Fisher, let's talk about this guy because he's the one who redesigned this house.
This
So
house, right.
He built the house that you.
Well, we built it, but
built it.
he was
He
the
designed it.
designer and he was the architect, and he was working for Frank Gehry then.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of the designers for Frank Gehry.
Oh, yeah.
He was an apprentice for him for a couple
And
of
so
years.
he might have even been working for Gehry still, and then moonlighted my place. And now he's pretty
He's huge.
established. He has an
Yeah,
office in New York. I still see him in New York when he comes. I mean, I see him out here too. But it's funny because he says, and of course it's true, it was such a hit, the house, that since he's never been able to put such full-time energy in any place.
Yeah, because
that's your first house.
Yeah.
It's like a rock band's first band.
That was his first house.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
we'll get some photos for
Yeah.
as like B-roll for that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty well published online, but the Kaplan House. And there were tours for a long time.
Yeah.
It was on the tours. Maybe it still is. I don't know.
And that house was built.
79.
So before this redesign,
Yeah, this was in 83.
83, 84. Yeah.
End of 83, beginning of 84.
And Eric Mankin, a friend of mine, lived in this house.
Okay.
And Ian, who bought the house,
Yeah.
was living at the Pink House with us.
Okay.
Because it had a separate unit in the top.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So in the 70s, you saw a lot of people come in here and tear down the old bungalows. Yeah. And build-
not just tear down.
Not too many tear downs.
It's just land.
No, they just rebuilt them or added to them or put different facades.
So the house, the Kaplan house.
That one was a lot, empty lot.
House, empty lot still back
Yeah,
then.
and I bought the
No,
lot.
I bought the lot originally,
Okay.
thinking maybe I'd build something there, and then I sold it to Lauren.
Is that right? I don't even remember. And then you bought where your place, that was partly empty, and then you built a structure on it. I was wondering.
It was like a furniture store originally, wasn't it?
Originally, my understanding was that also had gondolas in it during the wintertime.
Oh, okay.
So, but I don't know. But yeah, when I bought it, it was a furniture
Yeah.
warehouse.
See, back in the day, in the 70s, people would do what they called extensive remodels because they didn't want to go down and build and pull permits and stuff. So you'd see a little, one-bedroom bungalow, and 3 months later, you'd see this 2-story house. Looked nothing like it. The bungalow was inside of it. That was funny days.
Yeah.
And then the second famous house after my house was Gagosian's house.
Oh,
That was the second one.
Also by Fred Fisher.
No, but Larry
different.
Gagosian is probably the biggest art dealer in the world.
So are you saying that the house that you built with Fred Fisher, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the first really cool architectural
houses, yeah.
There was a bunch of guys at that same. Brian May was doing the same kind of
Right
thing.
after that.
Yeah,
Right after
real
that.
kind of modernish
Yeah.
type
Coming to
of
Venice.
architecture.
Yeah.
People, because, when you build a house, it's as good as the owner.
Yeah.
Because the owner gives permission to the architect to go wild, to do something.
Yeah.
And, if the architect doesn't have the money, someone has to have the money to build the damn thing.
Sure.
So,
Well, when I was looking at the old Venice Canals map, I saw the parcels on the south side of San Juan, the small parcels.
Right.
So I think they built houses for the canals on that side, but not on this side.
Makes sense.
So this is still vacant land. I mean, if you look at the parcel map,
More commercial.
yeah, it was more commercial. Probably the building to do the gondolas and
Right.
whatnot. That's really cool.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing about what I remember about the 70s, especially the late 70s, when you were building your house and Ian was here and James up on the corner, everybody knew each other around here. Because everybody went to the art openings. Everybody went down to Market Street 70, which was the West Beach Cafe.
Yeah.
Bruce Motter's place. Everybody hung out down there. So
Okay, so on Market Street.
On Market
where
Street.
there's
No, West
now-
Beach was on
Bruce
Venice.
Mars on Venice.
the original West Beach.
West was always on Venice Boulevard. That's where.
So next to the
the
Venice
end-
sign?
the end of it. Yeah, right.
Next to the
Yeah.
Venice sign? Like
No, down right at the beach.
At the beach,
at the beach.
between Nelson or whatever they call it,
Yeah.
Pacific and the beach.
Okay, got it.
And then what you're talking about is on Market
72
Street.
Market Street.
There was, and that was Tony Bill owned that.
Yeah.
Tony Bill was a big producer. He produced
Tony
The Sting.
Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
His office is still right across
Yeah,
the street on the corner.
and he had the restaurant. Isn't it? What's it now? Isn't it?
Well, there's
It's back to a restaurant.
well, yeah.
called
There's
James or what?
a restaurant called the Market.
Yeah, it must be
that's-
on
it's
Market
It's
Street.
very, very popular. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really super trendy restaurant before, and now it's a trendy thing
It's
again.
very. It's
Well,
probably
after-
the most trendy restaurant in Venice.
After 72 Market Street, it became James Beach. It's called James Beach.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah.
there wasn't 72 Market Street. No, what was the name of that? The
James
first-
Beach is
Dudley Moore had 72 with Tony.
it's further down.
That's further down. That's where.
It's like James Beach is about 3 or 4 blocks down.
Well, that's where West Beach turned
West
into.
Beach Cafe.
Yeah,
That's
West
what it was.
Beach.
Yeah.
That's on
Moved
Venice.
there.
That's on Venice.
And then they moved
Yeah.
to Martin.
Because before,
No,
it was
didn't they?
originally, no, it didn't move. No, it was the Venture Inn. Then it became,
Venture Inn.
Then it became
That was a biker bar.
dive bar. Yeah,
Dive bar.
classic old.
Yeah,
Venice.
yeah, that's 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
beatniks, is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then Venture Inn, which is a cool name, Venture Inn,
Yeah.
that turned into the West Beach
Yeah,
Cafe.
West Beach.
and that
Right.
turned into James Beach.
And then James Beach, you say moved.
James Beach was where 72 Market Street was after Tony Bill and Dudley Moore closed it down. I went
Oh,
there
maybe
many,
so.
many times.
Maybe so.
Because there's that guy, I forgot his name, he was really big in Venice. He was a bartender there, friend of Ian's.
Yeah, oh yeah,
What was his name? Daryl.
yeah.
So now, on the boardwalk, in Venice Boardwalk,
Yeah.
people come because they see it's a people watching.
It's a freak show.
It's I don't want to say the word freak.
show.
It's a people watching place for sure.
In New York,
Is
we have.
that how it was back then as well, or not?
I have pictures of my aunts at Venice Beach in the they had to be very early 60s or late 50s.
Yeah.
And if you can see the boardwalk, it's not that different.
Oh,
Not that different. And then the restaurant that's still there, the Sidewalk Cafe,
Yeah.
has been there, what, 50 years?
Or more,
It's been there a long time.
longer.
No, it goes
Forever.
back to the 70s for sure.
But we used to go there
Yeah.
and sit there and have breakfast so we could watch the show on the boardwalk.
So it's
always been a show.
Always been a show.
Always been a show.
Well, back,
Why? What?
it was like St. Mark's Place in New York.
Is there a history around that? Like, do you guys know?
well, it's a beach, first of all.
Yeah.
And Venice is very popular.
And Muscle Beach, that was a mythology. Muscle Beach had always, Arnold Schwarzenegger was there.
You had Pacific Ocean Park at the other
Pacific Ocean
end.
Park. And so you had, it's kind of like a carnival, carny,
Yeah.
tattoo, sailor,
Yeah, it
drugs,
was a different
drinking.
vibe, a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
But in the day, they had a little tram of cars that would go up and down, and you could jump on it. I think it was either free or it cost like a nickel, and it would take you from Venice Boulevard all the way to the end.
This is in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah,
early
yeah,
60s.
yeah.
So like a little train
Yeah.
on the boardwalk.
On the
Yeah.
boardwalk,
And you can go up and down.
Yeah.
Because you want to go from Muscle Beach all the way to POP,
Yeah,
Pacific
yeah,
Ocean
yeah.
Park, which is
Yes,
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
The thing about the boardwalk that I remember is that you could get and do about anything you wanted on the boardwalk because that was before the police station was there.
Okay.
It was just an open
A free for all.
free for all.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So people were doing
but very
drugs and
you were
like,
drawn to it. There was
dancing.
something really electric
I think
about
it was
that.
exhibitionist too, because people
Okay.
didn't have clothes on much because it's a beach.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of bodies
A lot
and
of poets.
and people did stuff to be watched. So
Yeah.
that's another part of this
People came down
thing,
to be seen.
Right.
to be seen.
Yeah.
So there's,
Well, not only that, but in the day, there was a big beatnik scene in Venice.
Yeah.
Venice was pretty seedy back
in
then.
the 40s and 50s especially.
Yeah.
In the Marlowe movies and in the Raymond Chandler films, they'd come down to Venice. That's where like drugs were and
Yeah.
easy, prostitution and stuff like that in
Yeah.
Venice. That was part of the mythology, definitely.
That's where they filmed Touch of Evil.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Orson Welles film, which is right in Windward Circle. Very
Yeah.
famous. Very famous.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Abbott Kinney didn't build the canals here, this would be completely different?
Well, there was a plan in the 50s. The city wanted to basically bulldoze all of Venice and turn it into Miami Beach
Really?
Yeah.
In the 50s?
in the 50s.
The
yeah.
city of LA?
Yeah, city of LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was Venice Beach ever its own city, or was it always city of LA?
No, it was up until the 20s, I think,
Yeah.
and then it was incorporated into Los Angeles.
Right.
So in the early 1900s
Yes.
until the 20s, it was
Right.
just its own city, Venice Beach.
Yeah,
Venice
yeah,
Beach.
yeah. But it couldn't sustain itself because it didn't have a tax base really that worked.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a police department, fire department, all the amenities, it couldn't really do it.
That being said, if Abbott Kinney didn't do that stuff, it would have been continuation of Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And, which is, slightly more upscale, slightly cleaner, less freaky.
Yeah.
I mean, you really, when you had Muscle Beach was a phenomena.
Yeah. I mean, but who made it a phenomenon? Was that Arnold?
Pretty much.
No. It was way before Arnold. Way before
the
Arnold.
50s.
Really?
Oh yeah. Jack LaLanne.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack LaLanne used to work out there too?
that world.
Yeah.
This
huge. Jack LaLanne.
huge. Yeah. That was Venice Beach, and I think it just would have been. Listen, how many major cities have a popular beach next to it?
Yeah.
It's a big attraction. It's huge.
What I can't think of it. New York doesn't have it. I mean, Miami is the closest,
Yeah.
and Miami's it doesn't come close to the scale of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We know way back again when this was like a destination for people in LA because LA gets hot.
Yeah.
And you go to the beach, there's almost nothing.
And this is the closest beach to LA.
They ended up building like little shacks. Some of them originally had like tent roofs,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
lined the streets. And the shacks that you see were like the upscale houses. You know,
That was like
a lot
your
of
Airbnb.
a lot of them are gone now. But
Yeah.
that was like people didn't stay here all winter. They just came for the summer.
Yeah.
You know, and the red car, which was the trolley line that ran down Venice Boulevard, brought them here.
And it's
So
interesting.
there was a trolley line on Venice Boulevard?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It went from like where? Like downtown LA?
Downtown.
Way downtown, yeah.
Yeah, because that's where like the city was born, was
Yeah.
downtown, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so when Abbot Kinney came here in the early
Abbot
1900s,
Kinney was a little pre
Yeah.
that. He was like 1900s early.
Yeah.
Because originally this was a swamp.
correct? Yes.
You know, and
yes.
so they had to do a lot of work to kind of develop the canals and all
Yeah.
that.
They never did it correctly. That's why it failed. They never did it correctly because they turned it back to a swamp
A lot of
essentially.
problems.
The other thing back in the
that's-
20s during Prohibition, a lot of the wealthy people would come down here because they had boats that would take you out to these ferries that were docked offshore
so you could-
where you could drink and play cards.
Yeah.
So that attracted a lot of people.
Yeah, that was-
the whole Liberace moved down to Pacific Ocean Park, and that attracted a lot of the musical community. The big bands and everything would come down and play here.
So during the Prohibition, people would jump on a boat,
Yeah.
go past the city line. Or
Yeah, I think it was a mile out.
It was like
those were-
international
those were
waters.
actually gambling boats.
Yeah.
That was in the 30s. But early on, there was a tunnel from, I think it was St. Mark's Hotel, which Tom Sewell owned, under the sand out to somewhere where the rocks are, so they could basically unload booze from ships and bring it under the tunnel
Into a house.
into a hotel without being seen.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was bootlegging, basically.
That's cool.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
And that was obviously for a while in the 20s, right?
yeah.
20s and 30s, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really cool history.
Yeah.
Really cool
There's a
history.
lot of movies made about those gambling boats. They have a pretty notorious record.
Yeah.
There's like murders and all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's cool that obviously Venice Beach is much different now, right, than it was back
Not
then.
really.
Oh, really?
No, we're always surprised.
Is it?
I mean,
Is it
like,
well, I mean, there's what I was getting to is that I think the main similarity, what people are drawn to Venice, is that it is that like bohemian feel and style.
It's
Like,
funky.
It's a little grimy. It's not clean.
no, there's sort of a third world quality about it
Yes.
as well.
Well,
So it almost like relaxes you. You're not in like some upper scale like Santa Monica.
On a sunny day like this, you're like in the
it's gorgeous. Yeah.
yeah, you're like in Cuba or something.
But it went through so much. I mean, I remember in the 80s, there was times where you did not walk down West Washington after the sun went
That's
down.
right.
I don't care what color you were.
On
you
Sundays,
did not walk
especially.
down the street.
on Washington Boulevard.
On West Washington
West
Boulevard,
Washington.
which is now Abbot Kinney.
Okay, got it.
I remember, but there was,
Here too, these blocks.
there was like, people would run up behind you, and go, give me your watch, or, try to rob you and
Yeah.
stuff. And, all kind of stuff would happen. And then, and
That was
I
the
was-
80s.
I was on Abbot Kinney the night that John Lennon was killed. And I remember people running out down West Washington and going, they just killed John Lennon. I mean, everybody was shouting it. Everybody was coming out of their stores or buildings. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And it was like shocking to
It
everyone.
was more
because-
dangerous, I guess,
Very
but
shocking.
it's still a
still
bit
good.
gamey,
100%.
You know.
I mean, there was some. I mean, there were some stories of something happened recently.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
some people were like attacked, right? So
Yeah, the
it's
canals
like,
and...
Well,
it's like you're in the city, but on the beach.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the city
oh, yeah.
kind of urban
There's a
lifestyle.
vibe to it. Yeah, you
well, part
got
of that is that there's people that live here all the time. And then there's a huge contingent of people that come from the city, spend the day or whatever, and then they go back. So it's that public sort of influx. And those people, hard to say, I mean, they like Venice, they come from Venice, but it's not the same as the people who are living here, artists,
It's always that way,
musicians.
right, yeah,
It's
vested
always been
interest
like
in
that.
it.
Yeah.
So there's that sort of element that's continually kind of moving around and, you
And
know.
of course, the homeless, which is much better now.
Yeah.
But that homeless, but you know, when we were here in the 70s, on Westminster, there were vans with homeless people. If they didn't call them homeless people,
Yeah.
they were hippies.
People living in their buses,
They were
and
homeless
vans, and
in Berkeley too when we were there.
Yeah.
But I mean, this
It
was
wasn't a problem. It wasn't like, oh, you gotta get these people out of here.
No,
It was cool. It's like, it's just people, you know.
They were like people doing that, and that was in the 70s. So when it turned into homeless, it's sort of like seemed like the same, felt like the same deal.
Yeah.
Except
Except
now,
now they're on really heavy, you know.
well, instead of
drugs.
170,000 house, it's 1.7 million.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
And so people have a slightly different vested interest in the homes.
100%.
You know.
Especially the new buyers.
Yeah, sure,
that
yeah.
are in this town. Yeah.
But it's funky, and I think you want funky. It's arty. You want that. That's the mythology of Venice. I think it still holds up.
yeah.
None of you guys are living here full time now.
Correct.
No.
I'm not. No.
Would you guys ever live here
Full time?
again full time, or is it that was kind of like your youth and it was fun and
I dream.
I'm glad I come here, but I'm glad I live somewhere
I
else.
dream about all of us coming back
course.
because then we have a community.
Yeah.
But my wife is not up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what made it special for you guys. It was the community.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's really
God.
cool.
It is unbelievable, really.
We were all together
And
all the
so many
time.
people from all around and just people you'd meet.
Yeah.
It was great. It was just.
And how many of those people are still living here full time of that original
full-time?
community?
Few.
Very,
Very few.
very few.
Very few.
Everybody's
You know,
moved
it almost seemed like every 10 years it was like a new wave of people. And just the old wave somehow, you know.
Well, the 70s when we were here with all the artists and Tom Sewell and all the people
Musicians and stuff.
and the real estate and all that kind of stuff. And then I left early 82 and a lot of people kind of dispersed and you went up north and
Yeah.
you were back and forth. And yeah, no, it all just, our group dispersed, but so did everyone else.
Yeah.
We were not alone. And it's sort of like we all got the memo somehow. We had to move on in our lives.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, but it's a good question when we move back. I still really love it. I love it less when it's overcast.
Of course. Yeah, of course. The sun makes a big
Yeah.
difference.
It
right?
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And as I said, my wife, we live in New York, and
Yeah.
and Venice is not her vibe.
Yeah. But a lot of New Yorkers come here.
Yeah, because
and they live here because of the walkability.
Because it's the East
the
Village.
city on the beach.
It's the East Village
Yeah.
by the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you've been to East Village, I know
Yeah,
it's
yes,
funky.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very similar.
You know, I think I was mentioning to you, if you go down Windward on any Saturday and Sunday in the summertime, it's exactly like it was in the 70s,
Yes,
80s,
sure.
90s. The people pushing their baby strollers, the mothers slapping their kids, telling them to straighten up, you know? And I mean, it's the same.
And the freaks.
It's the families, and then there's the freaks. It's the same
Yeah.
people, just a different
Yeah,
year.
well, the beach brings it out.
And I love that about that,
100%.
but it's also scary too.
I mean,
In a
like,
lot of
what
ways.
other beach in the world is like Venice Beach?
Well, Coney Island has its own thing,
Is it?
but not like this.
This
No.
is one of a kind.
No,
Yes,
not like
Santa Monica's different because Santa Monica doesn't allow the freaks.
No, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
for
the
sure.
Police don't allow the freaks.
Yeah.
You know, that's a tourist town.
Yeah,
You know, safe tourist town.
Yes.
So, like, what are some, like, give me one or two, like, things, like, memories that you won't forget about from living here? Like, what are some of those, like, key moments in your
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Okay, well, the ones that you're allowed to talk about.
Good response. Yeah, no, it's not really for this type of consumption.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. Well, how about any stories that you
They're
can't?
family friendly.
Yeah, they're family friendly. Yeah. I mean, look. Let's put it out there. Venice Beach has always been a place where people are smoking. They're having fun. It's a very spiritual place too, right? I think it's still that.
Yeah.
You know, like if you think about Burning Man, which is a huge kind of spiritual festival.
It started here, Burning Man, essentially, that vibe.
Whenever there's a Burning Man festival, this place is empty. It's like all the locals go to Burning Man.
That makes sense.
36 days, I think it is, before Burning Man.
Yeah,
Is that right?
but yeah, it's like the people that live here. It's like that Burning Man kind of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's
the people who go to
community.
Burning Man would probably live here.
Yeah,
It's an extremely creative vibe, and there's no way, it's very difficult to not want to soak that in.
Yeah.
You know, it still is.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing I think that's attracting about it. But I think for me, I can't speak about them, but for me, as I got older, I've been gone for 6 years. For me, I already did all that.
Yeah, right.
You know, I already sucked that all in.
Yeah, for sure.
And at a certain point, you get oversaturated.
Well, it's also, it's the free spirit sensibility.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you realize free spirits are oftentimes trapped spirits. They're trapped into being free.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
And it's problematic.
Yeah, well, look, there's people have stages in their life,
Yeah.
right, where they're doing certain things.
Hard to be free spirit when you have kids, for example.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
And that's one thing, too.
Oh, yes, right.
Because back in the day, we were all single,
Yeah.
no kids, and no worries. So,
Yeah,
pretty
no
much-
worries.
Yeah.
No, really. I mean,
Less
It's true.
worries.
It's true. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
it's
right.
true.
Yeah.
We're living the life.
I mean, buying a house like this was a huge step up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for Ian, I mean, my gosh. You know, or Lauren building his house. I mean,
Yeah, building the house, and then
Wow.
I had a baby born a couple months before we moved into the house, and we lived across the street. We owned the house across the street, Tina and I.
Yeah.
And so right across the street, baby was born and moved into the pink house across the street. Yeah, this was huge. It was sort of a center for a while,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely, yeah.
And I think the community part of Venice Beach is still alive. You know.
I don't know.
And-
I can't speak to that.
It-
I would think so. I know
No,
Russ
it is.
talks about it.
Well, there's people that aren't a part of it, but the people that are, it's so strong. Like Venice Canals, very strong community. Everybody knows each
imagine.
other. They're very, very close.
Yeah.
And I feel that this area is probably kind of similar. You know.
No, it is. It is, yeah. For the people, particularly the old timers, you know, they have networks of people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, even the young people, you know, like the
Yeah,
ones that
no,
like,
sure.
that like go to Burning Man.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge community over here.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they always hang out.
That
and-
makes sense.
And they're into spirituality, and they're into plant medicine stuff as
Yeah.
well, and they're into, you know, kind of going beyond their own psyche
yeah.
and kind of experiencing those cool things.
No, I think this group here fosters that spirituality
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
without doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that draws a lot of those kinds of people here.
That's
to-
part of
to
the
Venice Beach.
mythology
Yes,
of Venice
agreed.
that you're
Agreed.
talking about.
Agreed.
Very much.
Cool. Well, thanks guys for coming on video. Any last comments about Venice Beach, or any cool stories that you guys want to tell about your experience here? Come on, I know you got some stuff in there. Come on.
There's so many stories to be
Yeah.
told about being here, but it was a great time, you know, in our life. I think, you know,
I remember writing a poem around the block.
That's right.
Remember?
A poem
Yeah.
on the sidewalk.
And the
Chalk.
police came, no, he started on San Juan, over to Horizon, and then the police came and said, hey, what are you doing? And they wanted to arrest him for writing on the sidewalk.
Really?
No, but it was a poem, and it was a conceptual art piece, the
Okay.
whole thing.
Okay.
I think I maybe didn't even document it. I might, you know, that was kind of stupid. But
There's another funny one, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say, but it was another conceptual piece.
What, on the
You know,
roof?
The man marking his territory.
yeah, me.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
pissing on the four corners of my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, except the funny part was, it got real windy.
Oh yeah, that would be a good idea.
That's true. That's cool. That's true.
wild times.
But we were doing those things, and we weren't doing them as a joke. I was kind of doing it as a serious art piece.
A creative.
Totally.
Like, this area fosters that kind of cool creativity.
Yeah.
Not only you, but the neighbors.
Totally.
and
My
they
neighbor was
find it
Wet Magazine started here. It was a
Wet-
famous
Wet Magazine?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was our neighbor.
Okay.
And I actually created the name Wet for the magazine.
Okay.
And I was giving readings at Beyond Baroque.
Okay.
Is that still going on?
Yeah, the poetry place by the old
So I gave
firehouse.
readings there, and did Dog Love there, Dusty.
That's
Right.
So I guess one other question is, now Abbot Kinney used to be called West Washington, right?
Right.
I didn't know that until now.
Right.
What was that street like back in the 70s, 80s?
There was nothing going on. There was basically a shoe repair.
Thrift stores.
No, there were a few shops. There was commercial.
Very few.
It was commercial, but it wasn't what it is now.
It was artist studios, a lot of artist studios. So it looked like just blank storefronts, but there was artist studios inside.
Oh, okay.
And see, there was very little commercial activity. There was Rick's Bar was down almost to Venice Boulevard, which is a little shack.
Rick's Bar?
Yeah.
Also, what about
The Brig.
The Brig and
Rick was always there, but that's
the
old.
gay bar. What's
Really?
it,
So the Brig is the only original bar there?
No, there's a couple.
Pretty
The gay bar right over there.
Rooster Fish.
Roosterfish.
That came later. That came later. That was like early 70s, I think.
That was early 70s. And then came the barbecue place.
Oh, right.
Land's Barbecue.
Right.
That was
Which
good.
was great.
Later,
Yeah, I can
later.
tell. Yeah.
But the Brig goes way back to probably
Brig,
the
yeah.
50s.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You know where it is, right?
The Brig, yeah.
Yeah.
On the other side.
They have the mural on the side, the original.
And now they have that like big parking lot.
Yeah, they have
There's the
events and
pop-up
that.
stuff,
Yeah. And Roosterfish is owned by an Italian guy that also owns the pizza place called South End.
That makes sense.
Now, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, that's a great location, Rooster Fish.
Yeah, the
it's
oldest
great.
skateboard.
I think it was either the Pinks, no, the Rooster Fish, you're right. It was one of the oldest gay bars on the west side.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that used to be a gay bar, Roosterfish.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where you go dance. That's where you go dancing
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
have the best music.
Yeah. Okay.
That and
Cool.
the Pinks on Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
The Pinks.
Pink, it's called Pinks.
Oh, Pink.
Yeah, best music in the 70s.
Okay.
If you wanted to go
Oh, yeah.
dance.
So I mean, look. Let's talk about location here because Windward Circle. I mean, the reason why it's so expensive here, price per square foot, is because of its walkability. You have Abbot Kinney, you have Rose, and you have Main Street.
In moments, walking.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's
It's all
quick.
right here.
It's very, very quick.
Yeah.
What was Main Street like back then? Was that still?
Further in Santa Monica, it was trying to
Here
do
you have
things.
the Trading Post liquor store, which is
Always there.
super sleazy.
Yeah.
And it's still sleazy.
Well, it's a little bit.
I was in there yesterday.
It's,
all right.
it's pretty, it's
They
the same
upgraded
vibe.
it. They upgraded it. They got better chocolate bars.
Out of booze.
But like Main Street just past Rose, that Santa Monica.
That was happening, or starting to be.
Still-
Well, it was
Actually,
early
that
70s.
happened really before much of Venice really
Yeah,
picked
that's
up.
true.
Abbot Kinney.
Yeah.
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 Because his original kind of restaurant, the California cuisine, was Cafe California on Main Street in Ocean Park.
Okay.
And those guys sort of set the tone for all the other restaurants that came along after them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the nouveau cuisine
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Blues.
How about Rose? Because I know Rose is now a little spot. There's maybe
yeah.
American Beauty. They have Cafe Gratitude.
It's all in the last 10 years.
So that wasn't
Yeah,
anything.
that was
back
basically
then.
nothing.
Nothing there.
Where those are, that used to be Pioneer Bakery.
Okay.
That
Pioneer Baker. And Gene and I had a warehouse we built, and we divided into artist studios.
It's still there, 555 Road.
It was very sketchy, Rose Avenue, for many, many years.
Yeah.
You didn't walk down Rose Avenue at night.
Not too much.
It was just pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
But then, during the day it was fine because you got people going back and forth to the beach.
Yeah.
And that was the route to the beach besides Venice Boulevard.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the big route.
Yeah.
And then it started to change, and it almost changed overnight.
Really?
All of a sudden, there's these restaurants popping
One
up,
after another.
and there's hair beauty salons, and then there's these other, high-end stores and stuff.
Places.
Yeah. I don't
What
know.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a blink of the eye.
Well, not that it was Pioneer Bakery, but then
Yeah.
it was the dairy.
All right.
Remember the dairy
Yeah.
right on
Yeah.
3rd and
Yeah.
Rose? It was a huge.
The industrial.
That's where
Edgemar
public
Dairy.
storage is right now.
Yeah.
Public storage.
Okay.
That was
Yes,
all
yes,
Edgemar
yes.
Dairy
Yeah.
back in the day, and we almost
Oh, we almost
got
bought
a deal to develop the whole thing,
Yeah.
which didn't quite work. But
because we were developing stuff.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
know. Yeah, you were telling me you guys owned a ton of real estate out here, which
Yeah,
is
a lot of these
cool.
homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Lincoln Boulevard like? Because I know now Lincoln is going through its own rebirth. Slowly, but it is.
Slowly. It's always been a mess. It's a mess. It's always been a mess.
My feeling about Lincoln Boulevard when you got off a plane at LAX
Yeah.
and you come down that hill that looks nothing like it does now where Playa Vista is,
Yeah.
is that as you were coming down,
That view.
you just wanted to take and roll a hand grenade down Lincoln as far as you could and just blow it up.
No, it was just crass. It was just.
No, now a lot of people who couldn't stay on Abbot Kinney because of rents and
Yeah.
other places have migrated
100%.
to Lincoln Boulevard. because there's still some opportunities there, you know.
And they
It's still,
There's a great
regionally,
restaurant.
it's a
You
mess.
got Superbo over there.
Right,
which is great.
Superbo's
You got Venice West. The restaurant Zinke,
Yeah.
or Zink, or whatever.
You got the sausage
They were
place
on
that's up
Kenny-
there.
Yeah, Worcester.
Yeah.
Worcester.
Yeah. No,
Is that good?
Worcester's good. Yeah.
Lincoln will always be Lincoln, though.
Yeah. Okay. So
afraid-
always
I'm
be
afraid
There were surf shops there in
there's just so
the
much
day.
traffic there.
Yeah, that's it.
It's hard to park. It's
Exactly.
Like,
It's
if they
weird,
fix that
though.
problem, yeah.
It's a thoroughfare. It's
Yeah,
not a,
exactly.
It's not user friendly.
Yeah.
You know, Whole Foods coming in on 7th and Rose really changed a lot of things. And I think if it wasn't for Whole Foods, Rose Avenue would not look the way it looks right now.
Okay.
Because it changed that whole neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
It changed the the people.
And that's recent, relatively.
Yeah.
12 years,
Yeah.
15
And
years.
now we have Air One.
Erewhon.
Let's get to Air One.
Yeah, most expensive grocery store on the
And
planet.
the planet, for sure. For
And you
sure.
willingly pay for it for
But
the
it's
show.
so good. They got such good stuff there.
Cool. Well, wow. I mean, I'm really grateful. Again, I love stories, and this is, this will be on YouTube. So for people that are new to this area that want to know what it was
Oh,
like
wow.
back in the 70s and 80s,
And it's still happening.
and there's a story of people that lived here in the 20s and 30s, right? That we'll
Yeah.
never know.
Listen,
you know?
there's a parallel Lauren that would love to live here right now with these guys around here.
Of course, that's cool.
And make that happen. Of
course.
Can't afford it.
I mean, I can tell the energy when you guys are together. You guys are happy, excited. There's so many
We are.
cool experiences and stories of
Yeah.
living here. You know?
Yeah.
And it's still cool though, it really is.
Yeah.
I love being here. And I'm here only.
And you
a
guys
couple
will
weeks.
always come here. And like this place will never die for you guys.
Well, as long as there's someplace to come. I think as long as he keeps his place.
Yeah.
And this house moves on to the next
Yeah.
owner,
Yeah.
which, it's a lovely house. It's a beautiful house. And if Jane moves away, the whole kind of reason for us
That
coming
is true,
here
Yes.
is
Yeah.
gone.
Yes, it really is.
So that's,
Yeah.
to visit Venice Beach after that. I mean, I still have friends when I work here, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's shifting. The tides are shifting.
It's like everything else, right? Without the people that are
Oh,
there
yeah.
that you created the experiences with,
Right.
it's almost like an empty memory. It's
No, I came in from New York.
It also makes you feel sad.
Oh, Tom, I come up to New York in order to hang with these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Without doubt. And there's other people. We have a whole lot of people here.
Yeah,
Sure.
very cool.
The we didn't get into Oingo Boingo at all because that was
Oh, let's do it.
Oingo Boingo was a
Oingo
big
was-
part of this
Okay.
whole Venice scene also.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. But
No.
hopefully you haven't.
No, I haven't. But now I'll see it.
The Forbidden Zone.
Well, the sets for it were built in the backyard.
Forbidden Zone.
Forbidden Zone. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the movie?
Rick Elfman, Danny Elfman,
Okay.
Jean Marie Elfman,
Okay.
a whole lot of Venice people,
Okay.
Me,
Matthew
Jane.
Bright, Lauren,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
The sets were built in the backyard here.
Okay. Very cool.
It was an interesting part of the scene, but Oingo Boingo was too, because my memory of Oingo Boingo was Venice. That's where they would play at
Well, we used to
the
do
firehouse.
parades. We used to do parades down the boardwalk with a full, Brazilian,
Ensemble.
drum corps, marching
Really?
band. Yeah.
This was when it was called the Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo before Danny took it over and it became the rock group Oingo
band,
Boingo.
right.
Oh,
The band.
okay.
Oingo
Okay,
Boingo.
got it.
Oingo Boingo.
So these guys were your friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
you grew up with all.
Yeah, I was it. Part of it.
Yeah.
You were part of the band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Were you guys musicians? I know you
Yeah.
play. You play Salvador?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was a great time. There was just all this really kind of crazy, wonderful, creative energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to tap into it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was just wonderful. And
Yeah.
it was a wonderful time.
Yeah.
The firehouse used to have theater and stuff there. I don't know if you ever heard of the Kipper Kids.
No.
One of the Kipper Kids is married to Beth Midler, and they would have this boxing ring in there. And the Kipper Kids, their fighting thing was basically to come and open up cans of Campbell's soup and Campbell's alpha and pour it over each other's heads until the whole boxing ring was full of slime, and they were sliding across the ring, throwing stuff on each other's head, pissing on each other, and the crowd would be going crazy,
Oh, wow.
crazy. And these guys that were doing this
Actually,
they
it's
were-
on video, isn't it on YouTube?
I think there is one on
There's,
YouTube.
yeah.
One guy was a banker.
Yeah.
The other guy was like a real estate developer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like people that are doing like big things, and they're just, and everybody I feel like has that inside of them somewhere.
yeah.
And they come here to kind of let it out, let it loose.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
you go to Beverly Hills, it's a completely different vibe, and there's nothing wrong with it, right?
Yeah, it's great.
But you come here, and it's just like that's the vibe. It's like let's just hang
it
out,
out.
play music, let it out, drink,
And
smoke,
consequently,
whatever it
that
is.
the safety level. It's
Yes,
a little
everybody's doing the same
edgy.
thing. Yeah, it's
in a great way.
Yeah, for sure.
Great way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Anything
times.
else? Anything else?
What did we forget? I don't know.
What did I forget?
San Juan Avenue.
Yeah.
The music.
Oh yeah, the music. San Juan Avenue, the song.
Feel the breeze down San Juan
That's right.
Avenue. You gotta hear that
Go,
song.
go on YouTube.
Okay, what's the song called?
San Juan Avenue.
San Juan
Yeah.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Who?
Me.
You played.
My album.
It's a beautiful
Hugs,
song.
Hugs LPC.
Okay, and that's on
it.
YouTube.
Yeah, and then Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
San Juan Avenue.
And it'll give you the flavor of what San Juan Avenue was in the 70s and the
Okay.
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
There's all kind of people,
wonderful.
particularly in the 70s. I mean, poor people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
people
right.
with big families, you know, not hip people. I mean, you know, just
Poor people.
kind of, and it was a mix
Yeah,
of all.
oh, yeah.
We were here, and
Love
you
it.
know, it was just a different complexion.
Feel the breeze down San Juan Avenue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's one of the main differences about now and then is that now it's like in order to move in here,
Yes.
you have it's like the minimum
Totally.
the minimum house here is 1.5 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It really is.
So then
Yeah.
the type of people that will come will be at a different level in terms of just, you know, I guess what they're worth, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But that also brings in, you know, the other people that are creative that can't afford living here.
No, it's hard
You know,
because
so that will change the vibe of the area.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the fact that we didn't have the internet. There was no computers.
Yeah.
People talked to each other on the street. People got to know each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you weren't texting one another. You really got to get who that person was. You know,
Right.
and everybody was interesting. You know,
Yeah.
everybody had their own story.
Yeah.
There was a guy that used to sit across the street upstairs and type all night long. Do you remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy on the second floor? All night long. And you were fascinated. You'd walk down the street and you just want to stare up at and he's smoking his cigarettes and typing. Like, what is this guy writing?
Yeah.
You know, it made you curious.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Ian used to sit right here.
yeah,
At his
that used to be
desk
faced there.
and face that and write all
Yeah.
day long. Yeah.
And Gene and I had an office, Pan Financial, and once had been a synagogue, and then it turned into a little.
Quite a nice little kind of, almost
Yeah.
like Fiji Suite offices.
Right on the boardwalk. So we'd go to our office, and we had a woman work with us, and there was showers there. We'd run out to the ocean,
Oh,
Come back.
take a swim, sometimes
And go
surf,
back to work.
Go back to work.
wow.
Yeah.
That's the life right
That's the life.
It was a life.
right?
That is a
And
life.
we didn't know how great it was, I think.
I don't
Yeah.
either.
People still buy here for that reason.
Yeah.
There's people that have a lot more money.
Yeah.
But or they Airbnb and they come for a month or they rent.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a reason to
So
do it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
We put in a shower recently at the Main Street Design Center, and the tenants there, it's like you opened up an ice cream parlor.
They're just like, I can surf and come back to work. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
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 And why not? I mean, that's
And
what we're-
this is why this area has also, you know, gotten, you know, the rebirth is that the people that are in tech that have the money, right?
Yeah, sure.
They want to live that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Who wouldn't want to walk down to the beach, swim, surf, whatever it is, hang out, and then come back to work for
Get a
little
cup of
bit?
coffee.
Yeah, and that gorgeous view of the Santa Monica Mountains.
Yeah, oh, it's
the
gorgeous.
sunset,
Very
it's-
cool.
It's
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
people watching, and now there's, I think one of the main differences. I mean, I don't know back then. Yeah, one last thing is the restaurants.
Oh,
The amount of phenomenal restaurants here is
Yeah.
on another level.
yeah.
It is.
Another level.
Great restaurant.
It's
Yeah,
true.
Cholula.
Cholula, oh.
Yeah, on
On
Rose.
Rose.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, thank you so much. Lauren,
Thank you.
Salvador, Gene, that was
Thank you,
amazing.
Paul.
I
Oh,
appreciate it.
good.
Thank you, man.
Hey, man.
Appreciate it.
Paul.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You
Thanks,
will.
guys.
Hey,
That was perfect.
Down Redwall Avenue. Smell the spices in the air. Enchiladas